Good afternoon. Welcome to RMU Live. I'm Isabella Harris.
And I'm Brett McGolick.
Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted on Thursday following charges of lying to Congress, false statements, and obstruction of congressional proceedings. If he's convicted, he could spend up to a 5-year-long time adversary of President Donald Trump faces charges that carry up to 5 years in prison. The Justice Department says a grand jury has indicted the former FBI Director James Comey. Trump openly deplores him for investigating his 2016 campaign, alleged but later deemed unproven coordination with the Russian government. Trump says he let the DOJ decide on whether it's to pursue Comey, but in recent social media posts, Trump outright asked the Attorney General to do so. Amy Kiley reports that some critics claim the indictment is less about justice and more about revenge. Years in prison, Comey responded to the indictments in an Instagram video.
And I'm innocent. So
A 2019 report from special counsel Robert Mueller concludes the 2016 Trump campaign did not conspire or coordinate with the Russian government. It adds, quote, the campaign expected to would benefit electorally from the information stolen and released through Russian efforts. Comey is expected to be arraigned in October.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is raising eyebrows with a surprise order. He's summoning hundreds of top military leaders to a Marine base in Virginia next week, and no one knows why. The directive applies to nearly every general and admiral command positions, even those stationed overseas. Pentagon insiders say this is highly unusual, and some are worried about the Secretary's risk of gathering the many senior officers in one place. President Donald Trump is clashing with the United Nations again in a fiery speech to the General Assembly. Trump called the UN, quote, a club of people to get together, talk, and have a good time, adding, quote, rarely doing things get done, end quote. He's pulled the U.S. out of key UN bodies, slashed funding for refugee aid, and rejected global climate and migration agreements. UN officials say the moves undermine international cooperation. Secretary General Antonio Guterres responded saying essential for nations to work together. The tension reflects on Trump's America First approach and a growing divide between the White House and the world.
One detainee is dead and 2 more are serious condition following a shooting around 6:40 on Wednesday morning at a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement field office in Dallas, Texas. The FBI is investigating the deadly incident as an act of targeted violence. No law enforcement officers were injured. Ivan Rodriguez brings us the latest from this Lone Star State.
Outside a Dallas ICE facility, multiple gunshots rang out Wednesday morning as a woman waited in her car for her mom to finish an immigration appointment. The Department of Homeland Security says a, quote, sniper identified by sources as 29-year-old Joshua Jan fired at the ICE facility from a nearby rooftop, shooting 3 detainees, then himself.
No law enforcement was injured.
Officials have given little information about a possible motive, yet Vice President J.D. Vance blamed inflammatory rhetoric from Democratic leaders and the media.
An Immigrations and Customs Enforcement facility was opened fire upon by a violent left-wing extremist, a person who wrote anti-ICE messaging on their bullets, and there's some evidence that we have that's not yet public, but we know this person was politically motivated.
Republican Senator Ted Cruz called for an end to political violence.
To every politician who is using rhetoric demonizing ICE and demonizing CBP, stop.
This shooting was at least the 4th instance of violence or threat at an ICE or Customs and Border Protection facility in Texas this year. One of those instances was a bomb threat in August at the same facility where Wednesday's shooting took place.
We're a country and a city that needs prayer.
In Dallas, Texas, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Thank you, Ivan. President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday that says he will allow TikTok to continue operating in the United States in a way that meets all national security concerns. Underlined in the New York the new framework agreement outlined in the executive order's TikTok Chinese parent company. ByteDance and its affiliates will own less than 20% of TikTok, while quote-unquote certain investors will retain 80% ownership. TikTok apparently isn't only for teenagers to make and watch short dance videos. It's also increasingly where Americans get their news. A Pew Research Center survey finds a fifth of U.S. adults are now getting their news on a regular basis from TikTok. That's up from only 3% in 2020. For young adults under 30 years of age, 43% turn into TikTok for their news. That's more than 4 times the number of people from 5 years ago, and a roughly quarter of people from 30 to 50 say they mainly get their news from the platform. Pew Research finds that over the 5 years, TikTok has been the biggest boost in news consumption over all other social media platforms. Trump admins have reunited with Elon Musk in hopes of AI dominance to benefit the country. The General Service Administration announced on Thursday morning that the federal agencies will now have access to Grok 4 and Grok 5 for Fast, which will valid until March 2027. Musk says that this will make the government drive innovation in the government. The company says this technology could be as transformative as the internet or even more.
The White House is warning federal agencies to prepare for mass firings if Congress doesn't pass a spending bill by September 30th. A new memo from the Office of Management and Budget says agencies should draft plans to permanently cut jobs if funding runs out. Democrats call political intimidation. Republicans say it's just planning. If lawmakers don't reach a deal by Tuesday night, the government shuts down and these cuts could be in. A meeting was set for both political parties to settle this dispute, but President Trump ultimately shut it down. Reporter Julia Benbrook has the full story.
While a single meeting between President Donald Trump and Democrats was unlikely to result in a swift deal to avert a shutdown altogether, it was the most tangible indication yet that party leaders could come to the table and negotiate. When Trump canceled the sit-down, he said, quote, "After reviewing the details of the unserious and ridiculous demands being made by the minority radical left Democrats in return for their votes to keep our thriving country open, I have decided that no meeting with their congressional leaders could possibly be productive."
Thank you, Julia. President Trump has not yet revealed a planned reschedule of a meeting.
An uprise in consumer spending has helped the U.S. economy expanded 3.8% from April through June. The government reported in the dramatic upgrade of its previous estimate of a second quarter growth. According to forecasters surveyed by the data firm FactSet, on October 3rd, the Labor Department is expected to report that employers added 43,000 jobs in September, through unemployment likely stayed at low 4.3%. President Trump has urged pregnant women to not take Tylenol during their pregnancies, as there may be related causes to autism in newborns, studies are showing. Tylenol already has faced dozens of lawsuits regarding the autism claim, and it dealt with cyanide poisonings in the 1980s that led to a product recall. Let's hear what the president has to say.
So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it, that's what you're going to have to do. You'll take a Tylenol, but it'll be very sparingly. It can be something that's very dangerous to the woman's health.
President Trump and Secretary of Health Kennedy are not the first people to draw warning signs to Tylenol usage with infants and pregnancies.
Jimmy Kimmel is back, but not everyone is tuning in. After a brief hiatus, Kimmel returned to late night with sharp political jokes and a jab at world leaders. But some international broadcasters are refusing to air his show. Sources say networks in several countries pulled episodes over segments mocking controversial policies. Kimmel responded on air saying, quote, "If you're offended, maybe that's the point," end quote.
YouTube will offer creators a way to rejoin the streaming platform if they were banned for violating COVID-19 and election misinformation policies that are no longer in effect. The lawyer representing Google stated, quote, "Reflecting the company's commitment to free expression, YouTube will provide an opportunity for all creators to reconjoin to the platform if the company terminated their channels for repeated violations of COVID-19 and election integrity policies that are no longer in effect," end quote. You may be able to give your umbrellas a break today. We're going to send it over to Penelope for the report.
Thanks, guys. Today we're going to take a look at the hourly forecast. As you can see, at 3 p.m. it's partly cloudy with 75 degrees, and at 6 p.m. it's 75 degrees and partly cloudy as well. Moving on to 9 p.m. it's going to be cloudy and 67 degrees. Moving on to our daily forecast for today, we have a high of 78 degrees, low of 59, a 19% chance of precipitation, and a 70% chance or 70% humidity. So ladies, stay away from those hair dryers. Moving on to tomorrow's forecast, we have a high of 77 degrees, a low of 58, a 18% of precipitation, and a 72% humidity. Thanks. That's today, tomorrow, and tomorrow's forecast. I'm back to you.
Thanks, Penelope. Today might not be the ideal fall weather, but I can't complain. Coming up next on RMU Live, a teen is wanted for the murder of his father, as well as a massage parlor raids.
And the latest ways to keep yourself healthy this fall season.
Let's see. Women's basketball.
Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need a break, know where I'm going. Where the water's flowing, I'd rather be floating. If it's something that can count on to be free.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to RMU Live. A 16-year-old is being charged as an adult after a connection with a stabbing of 3 students at Carrick High School. Police identified the suspect as Anthony Tolton. He is being observed on surveillance cameras for squaring off to fight the victims before ultimately stabbing them. The Pittsburgh Public Schools superintendent stated that the district would be remote Thursday and Friday. Tolton is currently facing 3 felony charges.
19-year-old Adelina Mayette out of Westview has died following a car crash late Wednesday night. Police say the vehicle lost control near Center Avenue and struck a utility pole. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say 3 vehicles were involved in the crash. The first vehicle in line attempted to make a left turn, causing the other 2 vehicles to collide. The other driver in the incident was not injured.
A 19-year-old is facing charges of criminal homicide after shooting his father earlier this month in Pittsburgh's East Side. First responders were called on September 16th around 10:30 p.m. after multiple shots were fired at 45-year-old Tehran Reed. Detectives have determined his son, Tehran Reed, is responsible. He is currently wanted and listed as armed and dangerous. This investigation is currently ongoing. Authorities have stated that a woman threw her toddler onto the ground following a dispute with the child's father outside of the Pittsburgh Court Building in downtown Pittsburgh. Police were called after witnesses saw a mother forcibly throw her 1.5-year-old to the ground during a heated argument with her husband. The woman was arrested and identified as Shataya Troutman. The child was examined and determined to not have any injuries. The child was later released into the father's custody.
A Mercer County man accused of transporting child porn has pleaded guilty in court. 40-year-old Michael William Boston out of Grove City pleaded guilty to 1 count of sexual exploitation. Boston transported child porn on 3 separate occasions, as well as possessing over 1,500 images and videos. His sentencing is set for January 20th and could receive 5 or up to 20 years in prison.
Multiple Westmoreland County massage parlors were raided during an undercover prostitution operation suspected by police. The officers undercover said that they were offered sexual acts for extra pay after receiving massages. On September 18th, Wei Hong Wang was arrested at the Export Spa and charged with prostitution. Li Chang was also arrested at Leechburg Business for the same thing. An investigation into the story is still ongoing.
A mother in Irwin, Pennsylvania is behind bars after police say they found 7 children living in filthy, dangerous conditions. Officers responding to a welfare check say the home was filled with trash, rotting food, and animal waste. The children, ranging in age from toddlers to teens, were reportedly malnourished and covered in bug bites. The mother is now facing multiple charges, including child endangerment. All 7 children have been placed in protective custody. Fall may mean colorful leaves, hydrides, and pumpkin spice, but it's also time when the flu viruses tend to start spreading, and health officials say now it's time to start protecting yourself and your loved ones. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more of what to expect for this fall season.
We're expecting this year to be moderate, but last year was severe. We had more illnesses, more hospitalizations, and more preventable deaths of children. So the most important opportunity now is to take it and get your
Dr. Nosal says that even if you are not at a high risk for getting severely sick from the flu, getting a flu shot can help create a community of immunity, which protects those who are more vulnerable, like seniors, like those who are pregnant, and young children. We have all the latest Army sports updates when we return, so don't go away.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Welcome back to RMU Live.
Joey is back at the podium for another weekly breakdown of Colonial sports. Let's send it over to Joey Dramasic.
Hello, it was a very exciting week in sports, and there's a lot to look forward to this upcoming weekend and week, so let's get right into it. Let's start with some big RMU sports news with the return of the women's hockey team. The Colonials are back on the ice tonight at 7 p.m. as they take on Assumption down at Clearview Arena to start their 2025-2026 campaign. The Colonials took on Durham Jr. in their solo preseason game that ended with a 10 shutout game. Unfortunately for the Colonials, they would lose the shutout, ending in a 2-0 loss. The hockey team is set up for an exciting season with a date with Penn State at Beaver Stadium on January 31st. The Colonials will take on Assumption tomorrow night afternoon as well to get their season underway. Now taking it to the pitch, the RMU women's soccer team hosted Detroit Mercy yesterday afternoon at the AHN Montour Sports Complex as they played their third Horizon League game of the season. The Colonials would beat the Titans with a goal that was scored by Ava Trethway with her third of the season. The Colonials now improved to 3-5-2 on the season with their thick of Horizon League schedule right in front of them, with a 3-game road trip with Northern Kentucky, IU Indy, and Purdue Fort Wayne on the travel schedule. Now taking it back to last Saturday as the RMU football team took on the Dayton Flyers for their 24th all-time meeting. Unfortunately for the Colonials, they would fail to secure their second win of the season with the 17-14 loss to the Flyers. The Colonials would strike first with a rushing touchdown by Ethan Shine, who had 2 scores on the day. Backup quarterback Jake Wolf had to step in at quarterback, with starting quarterback Zach Tanner not playing in the second half for the Colonials. With the Colonials' third loss of the season, they will look to take on their matchup this weekend as they travel to Massachusetts to take on Merrimack. The Colonials and Warriors have met each other only once before, which was when the Colonials won a low-scoring affair 6-0 last season. The Colonials will be on the lookout for their third win as they take on as NEC play gets underway. Sticking with some Pittsburgh sports news, we're going to start with the Pirates. And although it was another disappointing season for the Pittsburgh Pirates, they will look to pick up 3 more wins as they take on the Atlanta Braves this weekend in Atlanta. The Pirates did have some positives this season with their starting star pitcher, Paul Skeens, posting an incredible 1.97 ERA, being the first Pirate pitcher to post a sub-2.0 ERA. Now taking over to the Riverhounds as some news that they are currently in with the situation that took place in last weekend's match as they took on Hartford. The Hounds would beat Hartford 2-1, but during the stoppage time, Hartford stated in a statement that the team did not feel comfortable proceeding in the extra time, as they reported that Riverhounds Danny Griffin saying racial offensive language. Griffin said in a statement on Thursday, in quote, "I did not use a racial slur at any point during the match," end quote. The accusations against Griffin comes in late in the season, with the Hounds having 5 more games before postseason play, and they currently sit 6th in the Eastern Conference standings, 1 point behind Hartford. Finishing up in Pittsburgh, we are going to move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who were in a close game this past Sunday, with the Pittsburgh Steelers coming out on top with a 21-14 victory with a win over the New England Patriots. Aaron Rodgers threw for 139 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception on the day. Calvin Austin ended with the day with 3 catches, and one of them being the touchdown to win the game for the Steelers. The Steelers defense also stepped up big, forcing 5 turnovers in the game. It was also a memorable day for Aaron Rodgers as he passed Brett Favre in career touchdown passes, moving him up to number 4. Now, after a 2-1 start to the season, the Steelers look to move to 3-1 to remain atop of the AFC North standing as they take on the Minnesota Vikings at 9:30 a.m. in Ireland, which is being part of the NFL's International Series. Well, that's all I have this week for sports, so I'm going to send it back to Isabella and Brett. Until next week, I'm George Dramasic. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Joey. Big week here for the Colonials coming up. When we come back here on RMU Live, we cover weather and also the Diddy charges coming out recently.
Do you want to meet a family with a transgender kid? Here we are. Max loves to do backflips. Max loves to play his ukulele. Max loves to just be a kid and just be himself. When I found out I was pregnant, all I really wanted was a happy, healthy, whole child. And that's what I got. I think it's really important for people to know that trans kids don't have a political agenda. They are just kids. Like any parent, we love our kids unconditionally, and we will never stop fighting for them. Stand with us. Protect our families.
Wait! Not in the toilet!
No, don't do that. No.
Don't hit your brother! Oh!
Not again.
What did I tell you about playing in the mud?
Raffy, not so close to the pool. Wait!
Frankie, what are you doing? We told you never to touch the gun!
I'm sorry, I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
You could have hurt yourself!
Safely store your guns. Unload, lock, and away from ammo.
Welcome back to RMU Live.
You may want to hold off on wearing those fall sweaters until next week. We're going to send it back to Penelope to hear what this week's look like.
Thanks, guys. I'm back with your 5-day forecast. So let's take a look at Tuesday. We have partly cloudy with a high of 79 and a low of 54. On Wednesday, we're looking at partly cloudy and a high of 74, low of 48. On Thursday, we're partly cloudy, a high of 69 degrees and a low of 45. So make sure we're packing jackets anywhere we're going this week as we get into the high 40s. On Friday, we're looking at sunny with a high of 73 and a low of 50. And on Saturday, we're back to partly cloudy with a high of 74 and a low of 55. That's all I have for you in the weather today, guys. I'm Penelope Shriver. Back to you.
Thanks, Penelope. October is right around the corner and the temperatures are still feeling like summer. Looks like Mother Nature has some catching up to do.
Former friends, employees, and family members of Sean Diddy Combs have submitted more than 70 letters asking a federal judge for leniency regarding his sentencing this next week. Combs is scheduled to sentence on October 3rd. Many stated in their letters to note his personal growth during his trial and fixing his flawed behavior. Sean Combs' children also sent out many letters in hopes of seeing their father again.
NASA is heading back to the moon, and this time with astronauts. The agency just announced plans for its first crewed lunar mission in over 50 years, targeting a launch date of February 2026. 4 astronauts will orbit the moon aboard the Orion spacecraft, paving the way for future landings under NASA's Artemis program. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson says, quote, "This is a next giant leap, not just for America, but for all of humanity," end quote.
Tom Holland is taking a break from filming the latest Spider-Man movie after suffering from a concussion. Representatives from Sony, Marvel, and Holland stated that, quote, "Tom experienced a mild concussion and is out of precaution. He will take a break from filming and is expected to return to work in the next few days," end quote. Holland was not hospitalized, and the injuries the actor sustained were not serious. The actor starred in the superhero films since 2016.
Thank you for, so good week this week, Isabella. There's a bunch of good stuff coming up as well as anything coming up this week.
Honestly, I'm pretty excited about the weather. Like, I'm not much of a fall weather person, I guess you could say, so I'm savoring up the high 70s as much as I can.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been kind of looking forward to that fall weather coming up. We know this beautiful campus really thrives in the weather. So, I don't know. We got a big weekend coming up. Any crazy plans for you this weekend?
Just relaxing.
Relaxing, that's always a good one.
Yes.
You know, the football team always got a huge matchup, especially Steelers in Ireland. That's going to be a huge one. I will definitely be tuning in for that one. Might have to get up a little bit earlier than usual. May have to set your alarms.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for watching RMU Live.
We hope you have a great weekend and to make sure to tune in next week.